Good Monday morning. Hey, everybody. This is Jeremy coming at you once again with Redtired Podcast. And I'm joined by Old Faithful Jacob Valdez. Good morning, Jacob.
Good morning. How are you feeling this morning?
Like I got run over by a steamroller.
I've been there. You know that.
Yeah, it's been exciting a couple of days. I hope everybody's Thanksgiving weekend went a little bit better than mine. I ended up getting sick Saturday night and spent most of my time in bed on Sunday, and finally got up and got the nerve to actually get some stuff done. So here we are Monday morning. It kind of sucks right now. I'm sweating like a pig, even though it's like 68 degrees in here, but we're going to press on through this any damn way.
How was your Thanksgiving besides, feeling ill?
Well, anytime that there's turkey on the table, it's a good day. Yeah. We spent most of our time just playing skip bow with the family. We kept it really small this year. A lot of times we end up inviting people to our home, and this year we just foregone all that, and that way we didn't have to feel the pressure of hosting or anything like that, and we just hung around.
Kept the anxiety down a little bit.
Oh yeah, and and it's important for the kids. You get to focus more on the kids, whereas if you're hosting somebody, then
you're focusing on them.
There's a natural
family,
there's a natural tendency to not focus so much on the kids and focus on being a good guest, good host, and all that crap. And so we didn't want anything to do with that. How about you? How did yours go?
It went great. We told everybody the good news and what's happening in our lives and how blessed we are.
Which, by the way, nobody knows about this yet.
I was about to share it. So my wife and I were extremely blessed to be gifted a mortgage-free home in South Carolina. So we're super excited on the move. We can't wait. We're actually doing a whole ceremony and everything in Las Vegas on the night of the 6th with George Strait. We're going on stage. We get to meet him and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, it's
it brought up my wife and I to tears. We were just like, oh my God, it was just so unexpected.
I still can't believe it. I really can't. Now, to clarify, this is a veterans program. Jacob is a Purple Heart recipient, and it is true that you went dark. What did you do?
Sorry, no, I was looking for the website.
It is true. He is a Purple Heart recipient, and he entered himself, I believe, into one of these Purple Heart contests. Mortgage.
Yeah, it was Homes for Wounded Heroes.
Homes for Wounded Heroes. Okay.
It's from the Military Warriors Foundation.
Now, there is a downside to this. Actually, there's a couple of downsides. One, Jacob, you got to move to South Carolina. That sucks because it's. Have you ever been to South Carolina before?
No, actually, I haven't.
Boy, you're going to be miserable. So that's one downside. You have to live in the home for 3 years. And so Jacob has to relocate to South Carolina. He will be leaving the great state of Texas. But the upside is after those 3 years, then you can use the property for anything you want. You can sell it. You can turn it into a rental property, an Airbnb, whatever, right?
So basically turn 30-year mortgage into 3 years for free, but, obligation of living there.
Yeah, you live there for 3 years, and then you can sell it and actually go buy a house in a state that people want to live in. So I mean, that's exciting stuff. And then, of course, they paid for the trip for you guys to go to Vegas.
Yep, and the hotel stay and everything,
Yep, doesn't cost you a dime. And all you had to do was get blown up and get jacked up, and no big deal, right?
Yeah.
No big deal. Just catch a Purple Heart, get injured a couple of times, and voila. Free house.
There you go.
Yeah, see, I've been doing it all wrong. I've been working and paying my mortgages down and trying to create a stream of income, and you're just entering contests. I mean, you should play the lottery at this point. I'm starting to wonder.
Just go and do like a $20 chip or whatever on the roulette table and just walk away.
Yeah. Just I'm blown away. I still can't quite believe it. Now, full disclosure, I thought you were yanking my chain the first time you told me. Like, you called me and you and Alex were both telling me, yeah, we won this mortgage-free home. I'm like, shut up. No, you didn't. There's no way. No way. You don't even need it.
To be honest, I went and got my car getting maintenance, just the regular scheduled maintenance, oil change and stuff like that. So I was at the dealership when he called me, one of the guys, because he was calling me throughout the day, asking me questions for my application. And the last question he asked me was like, so are you ready to move to South Carolina? I'm like, what? And he was like, yeah, you got it. You're good to go. We're going to do a whole event thing and stuff. And he was just kind of explaining how the process, what's the next step, basically. And it was funny. So our conversation ended. And I'm sitting there and I just forgot how long I was waiting for my car. So I was like, I just started laughing, tearing up a little bit. Cause I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Like, this is the best day of my life, cause it's not every day someone gets handed a home, it's kind of stuff you read in stories and, or you see on the news. And I was like, oh my God. And then I started realizing like, man, I've been waiting here for 30 minutes. Where's my car at? Like it was already done. I paid for it. I was just waiting for it. So I had to go back to this guy and he was like, yeah, I'm so sorry. I was like, nothing can ruin this moment right now. Anyways, I don't care. Got in my car and went home. Alex called me actually on my way home and she was like, so any word yet? Have they told you? I'm like, nah, they haven't told me anything. I don't think we got it. So just been full interchange. So I got home, told her the news.
So the best part of this is obviously it fast tracks your net worth goals, right? Mm-hmm. So everybody's got some kind of they should anyways. Everybody should have some kind of a net worth goal. I don't know if you've ever used it or not, but Chris Hogan's website, chrishogan360.com, they have a website. They have a net worth calculator on their website. And if you go in there and punch in all the numbers, you might actually be pleasantly surprised with some of the stuff that comes out. So
yeah, me, actually, I can't wait to see it. Actually, I created my own. I have a spreadsheet with my budget at the bottom. I have my net worth plugged in. And so, I'm surprised on how much it's, for the longest time. And I told you this in the military, I was in the red, I wasn't worth anything. I owed people, and, now it's in the green and now it's going to be good to go, and to the point now I'm thinking, that's how Alex is like, we could do two things with this home, turn it into a forever rental property. But I told her when we die, it was either by then we should have more than one anyways, but I would like to give it back to the community, to another veteran, like how it was gifted to us.
Well, that's a noble thing. I don't know how that works with all the legal mumbo jumbo, but I'm sure if you get your net worth up there, it won't matter all that much. But whatever you decide to do with it, I'm sorry, you got to go live in South Carolina. I'll be 4 hours away from David. Yeah. Well, I mean, that'll be an upside. You can go pester him and check on him and knock on his door at all weird hours of the night.
So I want to go back real quick and talk about, we did a few episodes on how to start a podcast. And, being back at home, telling everyone the news, I had bumped into a few people that kind of wanted to start their own podcast. And they started buying the gear already before even asking the right questions. And I'm like, whoa, you could have saved money if you did this or that, all right? I'm like, listen to our podcast. I actually pointed them out to that episode that we did. I was like, listen to this. I'm telling you, there's cheaper ways. So one of the questions, the most recent, most frequent question I was asked was, what connection should I use? Should I use USB? I have a PC. Should I use FireWire? Or I have an Apple. Should I use Thunderbolt? And I'm like, well, I personally, I wouldn't, because of the USB-C standard now. It's a lot faster than Thunderbolt now, and FireWire is just, I think, to me, is dead technology. Same with Thunderbolt. If it's not there, it's there already. And we had this discussion just recently before we even did this episode. So I'm like, I'm trying to tell them, like, if you want to throw away an extra $100, then feel free, But that's the upcharge for, some of these interfaces. They'll upcharge their the same exact product, like the Focusrite that you have, it'll be $100 more just because you wanted that Thunderbolt, adapter on it, or that, that connection. So to me, it's not worth it. The only time you'll need to worry about speed and latency is, listeners, if you're doing a recording of a 6-piece band or more, because then latency and all that stuff plays a big role when the computer is processing all these signals that are coming in. But for podcasting, guys, ladies and gentlemen, that's something that you should not worry about. A USB, one channel interface should be good enough. Now, if you're planning on having a partner with you and your partner lives next to you and you're getting together to record, a 2-channel interface. Focusrite sells some good ones right now. Mark of the Unicorn, which we call Motu in the music industry, they have some ridiculous 2-channel that are on sale right now for Black Friday. They're just about the same price range as Focusrite, but their quality is a little higher because they're more of the industry standards. But again, you don't need industry standards when it comes to podcasting because you're not recording music. And then when I say industry standard, that's music recording. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Doesn't matter. Save the money. Get a USB connector for your interface.
I use a USB. I have no shame in that. It doesn't bother me a bit. And in fact, I would even go so far as I was kind of picking on Mac earlier before we started this because the last video or the last podcast that I did, the guest host that I had, Alex Fenn had a MacBook and he brought his Mac in and I thought, oh, that's great. We'll just record from your Mac. And then, we'll just stick the thumb drive in there and we'll swap the video over and I'll do all the editing. You won't have to worry about a thing. Do you think it was that easy? Oh, no. Oh, no, because Mac has to be complicated about every single little thing. Mac can't just take a thumb drive and put it in and transfer a file over. Oh, no, we can't do that.
If anyone can't tell, Jeremy's a PC guy.
Well, I use an iPhone. I have no problem saying that. I have no qualms whatsoever about I'll use an iPhone all day long. You know why? Because Apple's really good about keeping them updated. But if I record a video and then I try to pull it off of my iPhone, it's like hell on earth trying to get this to actually, it's almost like Apple deliberately makes it so that PCs and Apple products can't communicate because they want you to go back and buy more of their crap. And I get so frustrated over that. And there's a section in that video that I uploaded to YouTube where I just had to put an overlay there that says, "I'm sorry, guys, the frame is frozen. Alex was using a Mac. What can I say? They don't translate. They don't play well together. And you're paying a premium price. You're supposed to get a premium product, right? So if you want premium and you've got a Mac, well, I'm sorry, you don't get it. But no, somebody give me a Mac, I'd trade it for a PC in a heartbeat, or I'd sell it and put the money into something that actually, would count. But so as far as so when you're talking about the interfaces though, I use a USB interface, and it's actually not too much more expensive than the Focusrites. And I've looked at them, and that little interface that you gave me, the Focusrite 2i2, it was actually about $150 interface. Well, for $50 more, you can actually get a legit soundboard, the Yamaha MG10XU. And I mean, dude, I can adjust so much stuff, and there's sound effects and everything.
Yeah, and that's what people do too now with when they do. They usually do those when it comes to like live sessions for like a concert and stuff. They'll use like the Mackie, the Yamaha soundboards, and because there you have more of the hands like controlling, and if it's something, at least now you can do it while you're recording. So say like I come in loud, you can be like, whoa, you can real quick turn down the dial with your fingers, the touch of your fingers, as in, like you're gonna have to remember it or write a note. And then, with a regular interface, you're going to have to go and post-production and deal with it.
Yeah. Well, and that's the beauty of the Focusrite is there's really only a couple of knobs. You don't have to know anything, and you just plug your microphone in and you sound good. And I mean, it's real simple, real basic. But if you understand highs, mids, lows, pan, effects, all this other stuff that goes along with it, how to adjust gain versus how to adjust volume, all this other stuff. If you understand like all that stuff, spend the extra $50 and get something a little bit higher tech. But if you're just starting out and you don't understand what the hell I just said, just use a Focusrite and make sure it's got 2 inputs, or go a little bit bigger and get the 4 input one. I think there's a 4 input one, isn't there?
No, yeah, it goes all the way up to the 16.
Yeah, and just record. If you, I don't know how it works with recording separate channels on the Focusrite. I know the 2i2 actually records a left channel and a right channel, so you have to edit that and post anyways. But I mean, if you're going to start a podcast, you're going to have to learn this stuff anyway.
Yeah, spend time to do your research and go to school on. Just go to YouTube, pick the right channels, and if you have any questions, seriously, email us, reach out to us. We'll be gladly to send out information to you on, what's the good equipment, what good gear, or what good YouTube channels to watch for microphones, or good audio interfaces. There's good YouTube at, I learned too, because I'm like, what is the difference between, a Mark of the Unicorn to a Focusrite to a Behringer to, there's so much out there. And there are little differences once you start getting into it and you start listening to it with good headphones. You're like, oh my God, yeah, there's a huge difference,
This whole process has taught us both quite a bit, I think. And, as far as like the video side, like Jacob is going to school to learn video production and things like that.
Yeah, because I'm willing, I'm ready. I'm learning to move Retired to more of a video, and we can go out there and and do all this with saving money. I'm trying to do it the smart way, because we could do it now, but we're going to lose so much, or I'm going to lose so much money investing in getting an editor, getting, a camera guy. I want to learn to do all that, so I don't have to cut out the middleman. I don't need you. I learned how to do it. I can do it on my own.
Well, there's a little piece of irony for you right there, considering that I do all the editing.
I'm talking about in video.
I do the video editing too.
Okay. All right, you got me.
I got you. Yeah, he's going to school to learn it. I just sat down and learned it. Now there's some pluses to you doing it the way that you're doing. For example, the GI Bill pays for all of your education, and part of the education package, which you just told me about before the podcast, is they sent you a new MacBook Pro. I think
I think you said it was camera.
They're sending you a very, very expensive camera. And they sent you a new iPad. And there's several different things that actually come along in this package that can be used and will benefit long beyond your educational needs. But the downside is they sent you Mac stuff. So
I'll slowly get you into it.
I'm sorry. iPhone, one thing. iPhone versus Android. That's one argument that I'm not gonna. That's a hill I won't die on. Switching from a Mac to a PC, or I got that backwards. Switching from a PC to a Mac, no way. You still can't game on a Mac. I'm sorry. No, it is impossible.
Yeah, you're a gamer at heart, though.
Yeah.
Hey, you've been playing. Are you still playing Chrono Trigger?
Of course. Well, I haven't been for the last couple of days. I've been laying in my bed sweating this crap out.
All right, so let's jump into what's going on. There was one thing I forgot to tell you before we were setting everything up for this episode. The streaming wars, right? Been going on, started since, the last contender came into the ring. I feel like it's a Royal Rumble of wrestling somewhat, trying to basically who can get the most customers and the most revenue for their streaming wars, between Netflix, Apple Plus, Disney Plus, CBS Plus, whatever it's called, and all the way up to Hulu.
CBS Plus? Yeah, CBS has got a streaming service?
Yeah, I think it's CBS Now or Prime or whatever.
You really should rename that. That sounds just lame.
Yeah. But here's the first shots that basically internal shots going on. Netflix writers or original writers might be walking out on a strike.
Well, Netflix is, I'm just calling this out the way I see it. Unless they do something amazing, we're looking at a sinking ship here.
Yeah, they're bloated right now.
Yeah,
they need to trim it a little bit. Like a turkey.
I have no problem saying it. I don't see Netflix sustaining the way that they're doing, because look, Disney Plus is what did we say it was $6.99 if you just get Disney Plus? or you can get the package with Hulu, Disney, and ESPN. Look, I don't even watch sports, and I got the package because you never know. It makes sense. I like Hulu. I really do. And Disney Plus, come on, I got kids. Like, this is free entertainment almost. It's this close to being free. I couldn't afford it. From the vault alone is worth it, right? And what's really funny is I've actually been going back and watching old episodes of Boy Meets World. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it's on there. Yep.
What's funny about Boy Meets World is there's a lot of innuendos that are hidden that I never picked up as a child that would not fly on TV today. And because I was just talking with my wife about this yesterday. I'm like, dude, there's no way that this would air on TV today. There would be so many people upset because it's boys and girls and there's no gays, or there's all these different things that people would be upset about today. And there's sexual innuendos, and like it's like right up in your face. Like even a kid could really pick up on it now. And there's no way that show would be on the air today. People they'd be losing their minds. Why isn't there a gay character? Why isn't there an interracial couple? Something.
Actually, I was just there was a video I watched, and oh man, I want to give him props, but anyways, you can Google it. But there's a guy who watched Blazing Saddles just recently for the very first time, and he talked about how that movie will not make it in today's society, and it's true. Cancel culture will be all over that.
Yeah. Tim Allen mentioned something about it on The View. He was like, Blazing Saddles, there's like, nobody's going to go back and watch this stuff, but Blazing Saddles would never make primetime television today. There's not a chance.
No way.
Because everybody is so sensitive and so offended over everything. They're just like, oh, my poor little feels. Speaking of, so I'm sorry. What were you going to say about the streaming wars? So where are we at?
No. So that's basically it, and so I feel like this is going to affect their revenue, which is, if their revenue should be affected already, customers leaving.
Are you talking about Netflix?
Yeah. And
so I left Netflix a long, long time ago, actually. In fact, I still have your Netflix password because you still have it.
Yeah.
And I'm just waiting for the day where you call me up and you're like, after Stranger Things season 4 comes out, we're dropping that.
Yeah, because it's the last season, right?
No idea.
Wow.
All I know is when it comes out, I want to watch it. And if you drop Netflix, I'm not losing an ounce of sleep.
Yeah. Just put it on when your shows come out and then cancel it again. That's one thing I love about contracts is like you can get rid of it whenever.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of people that do that. They'll buy it for the month. In fact, I did it with YouTube when Cobra Kai came out. And I watched the first season of Cobra Kai and I was like, oh, that was good. Cancel.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing else on YouTube. Was it YouTube Red? Yeah. Nothing else on YouTube Red that I have any interest in whatsoever. Garbage. But Cobra Kai was.
Unless they offer us a deal, then they're worth buying.
What kind of a deal could they possibly? I want to watch one thing. That's Cobra Kai.
No, I'm talking about they give us a deal and we're on YouTube Red.
Oh, Redtired shows up on YouTube Red. I don't know, man. That would speak volumes about the lack of quality of this podcast, in my opinion. Oh, they're on YouTube Red. They must really suck. It's just like YouTube Red sucks. I can't believe people actually subscribe to that. No, I'm calling it out. I think Disney is probably going to be the Netflix killer.
Yeah.
And Apple TV's got some good stuff, right?
Oh yeah, right now, yeah, they're still going. And what's funny is they're renewing these seasons already. And I'm like, Apple, don't spend money yet. Like, wait until the final numbers come out. Like, let a quarter in first before you start renewing seasons.
Well, Apple's got that bad habit of telling people what they want rather than listening to people. So,
yeah. But they have the money, so you can't really say much. They're not like they're in debt.
That's true. They've got, I think it's like a 250 billion market cap. And that could be way off. I think they're just on the verge of becoming $1 trillion company. Let's look that up.
And one thing, I know you're down on Apple and all that, but what I do appreciate is, is him hand in hand with our president in touring their Austin factory and bringing jobs back to America.
Well, they do some things right. I'm not arguing that. Apple reclaims $1 trillion market cap after analysis. That was October 1st. Okay, from Market Watch. Yeah, I could cite that, I guess. No big deal. I like the fact that they're bringing jobs back to the United States. The thing that bothers me is like there's still a lot of, it's evident. Like if you open up the news app, right, where Apple News.
Oh, and you want to share the link?
Okay, so there's one thing that kind of bothers me too, but Apple News is really pretty big about pushing left-wing agendas, and like the only news source that I ever get notifications for, like I've had to swipe left and turn off notifications for CNN and MSNBC, and it's like I don't want mainstream news. I want some truth, right? So if I'm gonna try and find some truth, I know I'm not gonna find it in Apple News.
Well, what I do is there's actual settings that you can change it. That's what I do. So when I open my Apple News app, all I see is outdoor stuff and things that I want to read about.
It takes some doing. You can change it, but if you start it up right out, like brand new fresh iPhone out of the box before you put your settings in there or anything, it's all left wing news. I mean, there's a very clear, obvious agenda there, and you can see it on Google as well. I'm sure Google censors a lot of stuff. So, I mean, you have to go digging and actually looking to find these actual sources. One source that I really appreciate is called Real Clear Politics, because it's like, they're not trying to push some kind of agenda. They're just like, okay, well, here's what we see. Here's our take. This is what they say. This is what they say. Okay, somewhere in the middle, here's some truth. That's what we're looking for. Anyway, well, should we get off the Apple train now?
No, I'm fine. So Black Friday, did you save a lot of money?
I didn't buy a damn thing.
I know, me too. I saved 100%.
100%. You are a baller, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't do anything.
Well, you got a house for Black Friday. That should count.
Yeah, I didn't even leave the house. I just peeked out the door.
Yeah, we did go into Walmart the evening after all the Black Friday pickings had been done.
You saw the mortar pits from mortar rounds landing.
Yeah, there was. I mean, it was funny because there was aisles that were literally cluttered so full of all the Black Friday stuff that you couldn't even go down the aisle. And it was just like we went in there to get a couple of gag gifts for a white elephant we've got coming up. Which, by the way, you'll appreciate my gag gift. I got one of those little mugs that says, "I don't need Google. My husband knows everything."
Yeah.
On the inside of the mug, there is a can of sparkling wine. There is some, well, what do they call them? They're tea bags, but they're stress relief tea bags. And there's a chocolate bar. So I bought the women's version of I Need to Relax kit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just made it up, pulling different things from Walmart.
Yeah, from different aisles. You're like, this will go good.
Oh yeah. It was perfect. I mean, especially when you throw the chocolate in there, it's like, well, duh, relax tea, chocolate, and sparkling wine makes perfect sense.
Well, supposedly we still had stupid people going out there and spending their hard work and money on things that just depreciate as soon as they walk out of the store, open the package. $14 billion in Black Friday. Jeez. Which I'm not worried. I'm all about building the economy, but golly, just
somebody's got to
smarter shopper. Yeah, be a smarter shopper. Like, come on, don't throw your buying TVs even though you have 4 in the house.
Well, yeah, no, there's some truth to that, but these TVs, they're getting really, really cheap, right?
And they're 4K.
Yeah, you can go get a $90 4K 42-inch TV for a couple of reasons. One, it's a super cheap monitor. The whole thing probably weighs all of like a pound and a half.
I think China built it for $20.
Probably did. The technology is so far up there that anybody can get the 4K TVs and slap a Roku in there and
there you
go to town, right? You spend more money on the Roku in some cases or an
Apple
Apple TV.
Or not the Apple TV, but the TV. Yeah.
Yeah. You'd spend more money on an Apple TV than you did the TV itself.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the technology is amazing. But one of the gifts, I forgot, I got to tell you about this one. You're going to love this. There was one of the gifts for the white elephant that we got. It's Monopoly Millennials Edition.
You're not allowed to purchase the homes. You only rent.
There's no real. Yeah. On the box, it says no real estate purchases. Let's be real. You can't afford it anyway.
The board is blank.
I couldn't believe it. I love it. I love the fact that the people, like, they're making jokes about the millennial generation, and
Boardwalk says parents' house.
It's probably a Starbucks. If I'm being real honest, you probably land on Boardwalk and you get a double macchiato frappuccino.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if I said that right.
Yeah. I did find this one good place. I think you'll appreciate it being a gamer. There's this new store that opened up in San Antonio, not far from my wife's parents' house. And it's called Tabletop Games.
Mm-hmm.
And he has the first part of it for like D&D guys, RPG players. But on the backside, he has all these PS4s and Xboxes and PCs out there. And all he has is role-playing games. And he has a license to sell alcohol there. And I was like, cool. So he's like, yeah, this is kind of like I kind of thought about this would be a place for a husband to get away without dealing with the BS at a bar.
But it's only role-playing games?
What do you mean, on the PC and stuff? No, he said you could bring your own stuff or do whatever. He has a lot of extra space. You know, it was really interesting, like his business plan. I was like, I'm like, I was asking him questions and poking his brain because I'm like, do you make money from this? And he's like, yeah, dude, I have people just come in here and just want to hang out and watch TV just to get away from the house.
He doesn't sell the alcohol.
No, he does.
Oh, so he's got a liquor license. So
yep.
he all he is a bar with video games.
Yeah.
But it's not a bar scene. It doesn't feel like a bar.
It's like a lounge type. Like he has couches, recliners. He has a little table, those little ones that you can roll around and put your laptop on top, kind of things. Yeah,
yeah, like a little cart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're seeing a lot more of that stuff pop up here lately, where people they're selling alcohol, and that's the hardest part is actually getting the alcohol license.
Pepsi to get that license to you.
Yeah. But once you get the license, man, you can turn the bar into anything. Whereas, when we were growing up, it was just a bar. You just went into the bar to buy beer and they might have a few arcade games or some pool tables or something like that. People are catching on to this and they're getting wise and they're going, okay, the bar scene works and there's a lot of money to be made selling single beers at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And so how can we make this more than just a bar? And then they take a niche like video games and they blow it up. Like, oh yeah, by the way, we sell beer. You want some beer? Duh.
Yeah. And he had a Black Friday sale. And what he did was gathered all your favorite, classics and fan favorites board games, 50% off.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. But the thing with the catch was, once you're in there and he sells alcohol, you're going to be like, man, let's play here while we're here.
Or let's come back when we have time.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense. Like,
yeah. So when I was there,
cool.
You brought up that Millennial edition and I was laughing because I saw a Rick and Morty edition of Monopoly too. And I was
nice.
Like, oh.
Very nice. See, Rick and Morty is one of those things that I'm still amazed that it's actually on prime time television. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's so weird. I don't know. I don't understand what's going on anymore. Speaking of things I don't understand, because we do need to quit meandering around. Joe Biden started munching on his wife's finger in the middle of a speech. There's not much to the story.
Maybe he was checking if his teeth were there and he had to munch on his wife's teeth just to double check.
I don't know that that's probably the best method, but considering the fact that his teeth almost actually fell out in one of his debates, I guess that wouldn't be too terribly far-fetched.
Or pushing him back in. You don't know his life.
Well, yeah, you're right. I don't know his life, which is probably one of the reasons I don't know. He's a fruit bag, man. I don't understand this.
Yeah, that was a weird. To be honest, when I think first time I saw it was on my Facebook feed, and I thought maybe it was one of those those fake news outlets that get away on Facebook, and I was like, no, this has to be fake.
Nope.
And I looked at usually on the bottom it tells you what the outlet was, and it said like Fox News. I was like, what?
Nope, it was dead real. This one's from the New York Post, and it's a super short article. So I mean, I can read this.
Oh yeah, it's blasphemy if you talk bad about him.
Well, but all the articles are weird. Like there's no explanation for this. Like, how do you write an article on a guy sucking on his wife's finger in front of a bunch of people?
Mm-hmm. There's better things to suck on.
The New York Post said, whoa, that took a strange turn. You got some hobbies I don't know about? Anyway, so the New York Post says she must have looked good enough to eat. A jovial Joe Biden nipped his wife Jill's fingers on stage Saturday at a rally in Council Bluffs, Iowa, as she introduced him at the first stop of an 8-day, 800-mile road trip through the first to caucus state. As Jill Biden flung an arm wide to make a point, her husband theatrically dodged her hand, then on a second pass gave her a playful chomp on her fingertip. She took the nibble in stride, laughing along with a crowd of about 200 supporters. Wow, 200 people showed up. Amazing. Good job, Joe. I'm surprised that many showed up. Biden's No Malarkey tour.
How did the YMCA hold all that? I'm just joking.
It was an outdoor event.
Oh.
Biden's No Malarkey tour, the most intense campaign swing of his 2020 presidential bid, is meant to boost his flagging support in Iowa, where polls show him trailing Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren, South Bend, Indiana, Mayor Pete Buttigieg. That's it. That's the whole article. There's nothing to it. Joe Biden sucks, and apparently Joe Biden sucks fingers as well. Real Clear Politics, theirs is even shorter. It's only two paragraphs. Not even worth reading. I'll cite them anyways down in the link below. Or down in the description, excuse me.
Well, he's not going to win. So
No. There's no way. Now, what I don't understand is how it is that he's the DNC front runner, because they're pulling. Okay, so 2016, right? Let's take a trip back in time here for a second. The DNC clearly rigged everything so that Bernie would win, would lose.
Mm-hmm.
They had the implementation of the super delegates, and they kept pushing all these other polls and saying,
yeah, they pretty much just manipulated everything to it could go the way they wanted it to go.
Sure, and information is easy to manipulate. It doesn't take anything at all. It's just how you describe the polls, and that can essentially, spell the whole story for you. So it was very obvious that Hillary was, the candidate in 2016. There was no way they were going to let anybody else get the nomination. Well, now people are kind of burned out on Bernie, but he's still polling far ahead in a lot of polls. And, you can go check Real Clear Politics on this stuff, and don't take my word for it. Do the research yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't make sense why the DNC is pulling the same crap that they did before, because it looks to me like they're trying to rig this all over again.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make sense. People don't like.
I feel
Joe Biden, like he's got a name. Is that it?
Yeah, and I think they're leaning between him and what? Not Pelosi, but
Warren,
right?
Yeah, because Elizabeth Warren is basically Hillary Clinton without the pantsuit.
Yeah.
She's if Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders had a baby, you'd have Elizabeth Warren. Yeah.
Oh man, it's just
I don't get it.
Yeah,
I don't know what their strategy is so far out there. It doesn't make a lick of sense. It's almost as if they're saying, all right, well, people perceive us as so far left, so let's just try this far left thing out, because probably Trump's going to win anyway. So let's just go crazy to the left. And then in 2024, when Trump's not reelectable, then we'll have a real shot. And we'll just let these loons do what they want to do for this election cycle. Because there's no way they're going to win 2020 unless like Superman comes out and runs Democrat.
And to be honest, I think the Republicans are going to be staying in the House for a while if they continue being this radical.
What do you mean?
Like, I think like after even Trump is done, if he wins the next election and he's done after that, I think it's going to still be red.
You mean if the left stays this radical?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see it going much any other direction. I mean, they're trying to appeal to these fringe leftists, these guys that are so far out there. They're forgetting. They're abandoning their old school democratic values, the old school JFKs. Guys who they stood up for what they believed in, not what everybody told them to believe in. So I don't know. Biden is weird. I don't really know how to take it in any other direction.
Well, speaking of loons, Pete Davidson is going a little radical himself.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah, he's getting people that paid money already to attend a show of his just to get slapped with an email down the road for signing an NDA before even attending the show. A $1 million NDA. And if people don't know what NDA means, it stands for non-disclosure agreement. And he wants to have them all signed before admission or they're not allowed to come in.
It doesn't make any sense. What are we trying not to get out here, Pete?
Yeah. I don't know. And it's funny. His representatives and Saturday Night Live are not responding to any comments at all.
All right, so let's get some context here. Source Fox News. Pete Davidson is taking extra precautions to protect his comedy shows. The Saturday Night Live star, who is 26 years old, is reportedly making attendees of his show sign a $1 million non-disclosure agreement before admission. One fan who attended a show at the Sidney Goldstein Theater in San Francisco posted screenshots of the contract and detailed its demand on Facebook, according to Consequence of Sound. I got an email today informing me that in order to see the show, I have to sign a non-disclosure agreement, the post said. In the NDA, the signer cannot give any interviews, opinions, or critiques about it in any form whatsoever, including blogs, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or any other social networking.
Am I going to a comedy show or am I trying out for the CIA?
I don't know. This doesn't make a whole lot of sense here because, I mean, what are you trying to avoid? Criticism?
Yeah. Join Chappelle. He doesn't care. Join, Eddie Murphy or all the legendaries. They all take criticism. That's how you learn and grow as a comedian.
Well, he's 26 years old, so I'm guessing he's not terribly confident in himself. Because I mean, I'm sorry, I don't know a lot of 26-year-olds that have their act together, and you could very easily argue the exact opposite. Well, he's on Saturday Night Live, so he must have something going for him. Well, I would actually use that very same argument against your logic.
It's not the same Saturday Night Live when we grew up, or even the old school, real good Saturday Night Live with, Bill Murray and all, when it was good.
Yeah.
And
it's not funny
out of it. Yeah.
It's not funny. It's nonstop political bashing and, and I was really perturbed when Pete Davidson actually said some of the stuff that they did about, that Congressman Dan, Crenshaw.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they blew that Dan Crenshaw thing out of the water, and now they took the high road and invited him on and let him make fun of Pete as well. But really, the only people that actually came out of that whole situation shining was Crenshaw.
Mm-hmm.
Pete Davidson looked like a total douchebag, and this is just another step in the next direction towards douchebaggery.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand what it is that you're trying to protect yourself from. Like, if your comedy sucks, then maybe, improve it rather than trying to get people to sign a non-disclosure agreement so that they won't critique you. Mm-hmm. Like, is that where we're going nowadays? Are we really afraid of being critiqued?
Mm-hmm. The poster or the contract or whatever also says it claims that it gives Davidson's team the right to confiscate, seize, destroy any phones or cameras that breach the agreement, and that any breach will require a $1 million payment in damages and legal fees.
Yeah, about that. So
Yeah.
so you're gonna make so I'm gonna show up to your show and you're gonna have the right to take my phone away from me if you feel like I recorded something.
And now you don't have to say phone. Say the main thing that's actually more important than you. You're gonna take my property away.
I'm not biting on this. I'm just gonna say,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. First of all, Pete Davidson is not that funny.
I wouldn't spend a dime to see him or a penny.
No, he's not funny. There's nothing. I don't understand the appeal at all. I mean, I really don't. It blows my mind. How this guy got onto Saturday Night Live in the first place is just it's weird. It's strange because he's not funny. And he actually reminds me of who was that guy that used to laugh during all the skits? I mean, he's one of the Tonight Show hosts now.
I know who you're talking about.
Jimmy Fallon.
Jimmy Fallon. There you go.
Yeah, Jimmy Fallon was kind of the same thing. I didn't find him funny at all. I if anything, I saw a little twerp that was always laughing during the skits. It's like, did you like? Why is this funny to you? You should have probably practiced this a couple of times this week already, and it shouldn't be funny to you anymore. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing about any of that exudes professional comedic acting to me. And so I'm drawing a parallel here because Pete Davidson, I know one day he's probably going to be in the exact same boat where he's hosting the Tonight Show and he's giggling and laughing like a little schoolgirl at all the stuff that's going on and blah, blah, blah. And it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, who cares? I'm not going to see a show, and I wouldn't sign something that ridiculous.
No, absolutely.
Hell no.
No, Pete, you're making a huge mistake. You're essentially cutting down on your fan base. So just stop. I mean, you already there's a lot of people that already don't like
fan
you.
Base down to in half, which is 1.
Yeah, you are definitely no Chris Farley. You're not even a David Spade.
No way, dude. Pete Davidson will never reach the heights of those greats.
No, not a chance. Mm-hmm. I don't see it happening.
And even back in the day, I think the hardest person or the person who was the hardest to work with ever was 2 people, Chevy Chase and Bill Murray. Bill Murray, because he just was not punctual. He was always late to showings and all, when it came to movies. And Chevy Chase, he thought he was God, he didn't want to listen to directors or whatever. So, that being said, those 2 were the knuckleheads of back in those days. And even then, he won't be as high as them 2.
No, not a chance. I mean, you look at a Bill Murray or a Chevy Chase, like, I don't know, you can call them the knuckleheads if you want to. I think it worked out really, really good for them.
Yeah. I
mean, obviously, everybody will always remember Chevy Chase as the National Lampoon's dad.
Mm-hmm.
And Bill Murray, good God, I mean, he probably hates that. If Bill Murray ever heard me say this, he'd probably curse me up one side and down the other, but he's always going to be the Ghostbuster.
Mm-hmm.
He always will be. And, but, of course, he'll always be the guy from Groundhog Day as well. But it worked out really well for them. Mm-hmm. And I don't understand quite where this Pete Davidson thing, like, what are you trying to do, man? You're like, you can't alienate the people who love you the most. Yeah, I can't believe there's even people showing up to watch you.
My opinion is that I don't think he's there yet in his career to do something like this.
No, not even close. 26. Yeah. Come on, dude.
Yeah. Be humble, man.
Yeah, be humble.
You should be grateful someone's out there leaking your stuff.
If anything, because if anything, right, the old adage goes, there's no such thing as negative press, right?
Yep.
Trump used that to his
that was his weapon
benefit many times. many times. He's like, yeah, hey, they can talk and they can say whatever they want to. He never cared. It was no big deal to him.
Mm-hmm.
So let them talk. No big deal. And so there's no such thing as negative press. So if somebody is coming at you and they're critiquing you, look, this worked out great for Dave Chappelle. That guy dodges bullets left and freaking right. And there's a lot of people, a lot of professional critics that came out and they criticized him for his last special on Netflix. And you know what? He dodged every one of those bullets. And matter of fact, all of the people who actually matter, the fans, came out of the woodwork and gave him rave reviews on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yep.
So if anything, you shouldn't try to squelch your critics. You should try to allow your critics to be the ones that lift you up.
Yeah,
not the professional critics, but the real critics. And if
the ones
you're
alienating with your NDA.
Yeah. And if you suck, then you don't, I mean,
go back to work. Yeah.
You should be getting to a point where you don't need a non-disclosure agreement. People want to show, they want to, simplicity is a beautiful thing. Show up, listen to the comic, laugh. That's it. That's all you should have to do. No, I put this non-disclosure agreement on me. I can't believe this. I mean, $1 million fine, that seems a bit excessive.
No, dude, that's ridiculous. Like,
yeah, because you know what? If you take this non-disclosure agreement and you put it into practice, and one person, you take one person, you put this non-disclosure agreement on them, and you seize their property, or you make them pay up on that $1 million fine, you know what's going to happen to you?
No, your career's done.
Your career will be over. Nobody will go and see you anymore. Not a chance. There's no way that anybody's going to put up with this crap in this.
I don't even think Saturday Night Live will put up with the press of that. They'll be like, whoa, I don't know if we need someone like this, because now we're going to have to spend extra money for PRs and all this stuff just to kind of quiet down. I don't think they'll deal with the cost.
No, I don't. If Lorne Michaels, because he's still under contract with Saturday Night Live, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if Lorne Michaels if he's not shutting this down like right now, he's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's insane. I'd be like, yeah, Pete, no, you're not doing this. If you want to keep doing this, then bye-bye.
Yeah.
You don't get to alienate fans, because and that's another side of it, is where Lorne Michaels, if he's looking at this whole thing with honesty and a little bit of integrity, if you look at this thing, you're going to have to at some point realize, like, oh, wow, this is actually going to hurt our fan base as well. Because people will just be like, yeah, well, Pete Davidson, Saturday Night Live, I don't want anything to do with that.
Yeah. You're no Belushi. Damn it.
Not even close. Not even close.
Man, if Belushi was still alive and he did that, I would sign it.
You have to have some star power to pull crap like that.
Yeah.
Belushi had some star power.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I don't know.
Crazy.
They'd probably be dogging on Belushi now because it's 2019 and everybody's
I don't think
offended by everything.
I don't think a Belushi would survive in today's time.
Probably not.
Nah, and that's sad. I don't think no one would think he's funny. They'll think he's just another crazy.
I'm offended.
Mm-hmm. Man, I don't know what's going on with this cancel culture, and it kind of makes me sad, Jeremy, for my son, because he won't, and I know it's going to be my job as a father to kind of introduce him to a culture that was good and funny, because I would love to, my goal is to introduce my son to things that I loved when I was growing up, like Belushi, when, in the age, the proper age to introduce them to stuff like this. But like, it's sad because, I shouldn't have to. It should be still the same. It shouldn't be this radical.
So you don't have to really suffer for your son.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give you a pro tip here. A lot of people are worried about, the next generation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's actually some information out there that suggests that the upcoming generation is so turned off by some of these weak little millennials that they're going the exact opposite direction. And they're headed more towards conservatism because they see all this crap and they're just like, this doesn't make sense. This is not the America that I want to live in. So there's kind of a counterculture push back, right? So here's my pro tip for you. Don't tell your son what not to do. Okay. So as he gets older, he's going to start noticing all all this garbage that's going on. You know, the Pete Davidson non-disclosure acts, the Joe Biden finger biting. He's going to notice all this stuff, and he's going to be like, "This is weird, right? This is strange. I don't understand this. What are they doing?" And I've had these conversations with my kids, like this is just how some people behave, and there's nothing you can do to change them. You just have to be, you know, well aware of what's going on. That being said, the big risk, the big danger is that, you know, our kids are going to fall into the same trap. Well, they don't have to fall into these same traps because we talk to them like they're adults, and then they'll actually start believing that they're more adult-like. Mm-hmm. They start owning responsibilities, and they start, you know, it's the old way of doing this. I'm stuttering like I got to get all this phlegm out. The old way of doing this isn't really all that complicated. And if you go back and you read Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, you'll realize there's a very simple method to actually changing people and getting them into kind of an area where you want them to be. And that's really to just speak the truth to them. You know, let them know, like, you know, that, for example, again, like I said, if you treat your kids like adults, they start behaving like adults. So when they do something great, when they do something amazing, you're just like, yeah, you know, that's awesome. You did great. You praise those efforts. And then, you know, with the negatives, of course, you know, you can have a negative reaction or whatever. And to a degree, yeah, sometimes it works where you have a negative reaction, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But the truth is so it's always somewhere in the middle where if you just tell them what they are before it actually becomes truth. Mm-hmm. So if you tell them, like, I believe you're very responsible, I believe you're very grown up, well, then they start owning that and they start believing it. Mm-hmm. And then that shifts them and it molds them into the people that we want them to become as parents. And so, and this works for almost anybody. You can do this for middle-aged men just as well. If you just call out the positives and encourage the positives in people, they'll believe it. Because there's nothing that somebody loves more than their ego being stroked and them being praised ever so briefly. Just one small praise goes so much further than 100 criticisms. Mm-hmm. So when you have somebody who's struggling with something in life, just praise them for some of the things that they're doing great. Don't focus on the negatives. Focus on the one thing that they're doing right and praise the crap out of them for it, and watch how they'll shift and they'll change over time because they get praised for all the great things that they have done. Mm-hmm. That's my 2 cents for the day. My piece of advice. There's one other piece of advice I would give out. Don't bite your wife's finger in public.
Save it for the bedroom.
Save it for the bedroom. Good God. Act like you're an adult, Joe. You know what would really stop Joe from doing all this crap?
What's that?
If he'd do some freaking push-ups.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. I'll talk to y'all later.
Have a good one.